Amigos, welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. We were going to do, obviously, the music, the intro, that cumbia beat that nobody likes, but we just decided to just jump right into it today because we have a lot to cover. So 30 seconds, 45 seconds of hello, how are you? We're scrapping that tonight. Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm Wiso. We have Mr. Naive in La Ciudad de Mexico saying hello. Naive, how are you?
Buenas noches, Jason, Cesar, Wiso. Yeah, I mean it's we got some FIFA break coming up. I mean it's exciting to see El Tri in Europe. They haven't been there since what 2015 or 14? Was it 2014? I think.
Since after the World Cup, right?
Carlos Vela came back.
The Carlos Vela
Yeah.
retreat.
That was the last time that they were there. Correct.
Yeah.
How are you doing in Mexico, dude? Everything okay?
Yeah, all good right now. I mean, at least this time around, it looks like America and even Cruz Azul might reach the Liguilla. Imagine that. I mean, the last
You didn't have one. You didn't have a liguilla last time. That's why I was a little worried. You're a liguilla-less.
I was liguilla-less. It was pretty interesting how that turned out. But you know now America and Cruz Azul might reach the Liguilla. I mean, just make emphasis on the Cruz Azul part because that's gonna be historic for some way or another because it's been such a long time.
All right. Well, I wanted to just check in with Naive to make sure he's okay. Liguilla, everything looking good. At least we'll have somebody there. So, okay, the good thing is good. Let's go right into the question that we normally do at the beginning. If you were just called into the senior Mexican national team, El Tri, for the very first time, what would be the first thing you would do? Cesar, you were looking at Twitter because that's the only way. I guess that's how players get notified. Maybe I don't know. In this, this is like the El Piojo times. All of a sudden, you're just scounding through Twitter, and El Piojo's the roster. And what's the first thing you do?
What's the first thing I do? I mean, if I get called up, so obviously I'm going to the camp, training with the guys. We'd probably play some Mario Kart because apparently that's a thing they really like to do. I would probably mess with Osorio's notebook. Kind of like just change tactics every now and then. Maybe leave like notes every now and then. Maybe change things or like write stuff like with the blue pen, obviously not the red one, and be like, oh, such-such been doing a great job. As a defensive midfielder, like give him some more time. I think I would mess with Osorio's notebook. That's the first thing I would do.
That's the first thing you would do?
The first thing I would do, yeah. Okay. That's why I'm not getting called up, so.
All right, Jason, I don't even know where to go with that.
Let's go up from there. I think, I think you have to start collecting swag. I don't know who you talk to about. Yeah. You got to get the shirts with your name on the back. You're gonna have all the family
that already?
Friends.
Do you call me like, hey, make sure you get my shirt?
You gotta figure out how to subtly who do I talk to about all the stuff because I'm gonna need stuff. Yeah. I'm gonna need all my people are gonna need stuff. You gotta start filling those hands. The hands are gonna be out and hold they're gonna want your people are gonna want stuff. The name on the back of the shirt. So you gotta start figuring out who's your connect. Where do you get your things from? All that Adidas gear. Where do you get all this stuff?
Yeah,
it's my first step.
Naive, what would be okay? What would be your first step, Naive? These guys.
Actually, I like what one of our followers said, and I would agree with it. I mean, I think it was Carlos Fugazi who said, "Not eat the beef option." after the clambuterol issue.
People don't know. Hold on. People don't know that story. Some people don't know that story. 2011, right before the Gold Cup, there was an issue with tainted meat that had some problems with some players in drug testing. They tested positive for steroids, which is the clenbuterol. So big drama. Memo Ochoa,
that's what provoked Memo Ochoa not to make it into PSG. I mean, that was huge stuff. I mean, of course, PSG wasn't the big PSG that it is now, but PSG is a better option than Ajaccio, for example. And that's why I would say no beef for me with El Tri. I mean,
no beef for me. Naive is a vegetarian when it comes to part of the camp. All right. What did Jason? What did our viewers say when you asked the question on Twitter?
We got a whole bunch of interesting responses in addition to Carlos Fugazi's there. We had Des Padre on Twitter say that he called a press conference would be really an undercover carne asada to get to know everyone. A big party. Ivan Vivar says a big party with Gio and Carlitos. Not sure we want that option. Senor Batista says that he'd go up to Rafa Marquez and Guardito and hit him with the and he attached the gif of the I don't know, was that pirate movie with Tom Hanks or whatever, and it's like, look at me, I'm the captain now.
Yeah,
to get
I like
in there,
that.
but, you know, got to set your limits there right away, I guess. A lot of Osorio out options that you can
he
go with.
He just called you up. You can't call him to come.
Oh, dude, that's not really nice.
Well, you know, people aren't always nice on Twitter, it turns out. A lot of drinking options that were out there. And we had one, Victor Herrera says in a fantasy world, he'd reject the call up and tell them that he was already playing for Chivas. So there you go. Punches Villa's Army also says the first thing to do is prank Chicharito. Okay.
Nice. I also changed my Twitter bio. I think that's what I'd do. I'd go like full Picolín. Remember when he got called up and he automatically had that like banner and all that? I want like as many Instagram and Facebook friendly like high like definition photos with me with the jersey and training. Yeah, I think that's what I would want too.
Nice.
Your own personal photographer at that point, possibly.
Yeah, there you go.
I would erase all the tweets that I did, like saying bad things about the national team when I was upset, or the coach, or the players. I'm just going back and erase. Because so I remember you calling me a tronco back in the day. You know, someone. I'd be like, no, I was just kidding. I'm back in. All right, guys. Well, that was our question. Thank you so much for answering. Today, we're going to be talking all about the national team as our main subject. Obviously, they're there already. Some of the players are getting in there on Wednesday. We'll give you more information about that. Then we got a special surprise for you regarding the Mexican soccer show. So definitely stay tuned towards the end. And throughout the coverage, we'll talk about Liguilla talks, Liga MX. So it's going to be a very fun show. I already see a lot of people on the chat. So continue to get your friends to talk on there. Please make sure it's don't go too crazy on the rivalries. It's make sure it's legit. We don't want anybody to get scared if they're coming for the first time. Take it easy on the chat. All right, guys. Let's just go ahead and get started. Like I said, lots and lots of topics. So let's talk about the call-ups. Mexico plays this weekend, Friday and Monday this week coming up. So Poland, Belgium, important games. These are the friendlies that most of the fans, if not all the fans, are saying we need to get out there instead of just playing in the U.S., instead of playing in Mexico, which actually we don't play that often. This is our time to go against good teams in maybe hostile environments. Here we are. We saw finally the 26-man call, 26, 25? 25-man call up.
Yeah.
26 man call up.
Yeah.
And we did see some surprising names that are on there. And let's just jump right in. Gobea and Antuna on that list. And, when I first saw the list, I was automatically kind of just shocked as to how these two players who have no experience with the national team, who, let's face it, are playing in leagues where I would think the Mexican league's better than both the Belgian and also the Polish, the Holland, right, in the Netherlands. What deserves to be a call-up? And I that's one of the things I was like, why, especially if we're taking this as a very, very important call-up to have these teams. The team that we're about to face is a very good team. I just don't imagine them playing. The other side of the argument is Osorio finally came out today and said, hey, they're only like 45 minutes away from where we're going to be at. Why not see these kids? People are talking about maybe we're using these guys as sparring, extra bodies. Hey, have some time with the national team more as a thank you. So where are you guys in that argument? Were you happy to see these two guys who probably will not get any minutes? But at the same time, is it a good opportunity to call people to the national team just to see how they are? Or do we use this national team as, hey, you made it and it's worth it? So I would love to hear your thoughts. Cesar, let's start.
I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think, when you look at the rest of the roster, it's really clear that Osorio chose his best options available. And I think a lot of it, like you just mentioned, it's a big deal that they're just only about 45 minutes away. And instead of bringing up another, because remember, these guys, Gobea and Antuna, if they were replaced by, let's say, an Elias Hernandez, let's say if they were replaced by Victor Guzman, Pizarro, or Belin, there's no guarantee these guys are going to be starters. These aren't starting options for the national team. I think instead of experimenting with another backup, what he decided was just calling up two guys who are pretty close by. I'm not too bothered by it, especially with Gobea. Gobea, I think is at least worthy of a call up, at least to try, at least, just to see what he can do. Antuna, I don't know, maybe in that case, I maybe would have liked to have seen, like if it were up to me, I would have liked to have seen Elias Hernandez instead, just because of his form. But I don't know, I don't think it's really that big of a deal that these guys are getting called up over other options, which people seem to be getting quite bothered about.
Okay. Naib?
No, but I think following what Cesar said, it's interesting to compare the situation to what Osorio actually did in the Confederations, no, with Edson Alvarez and Mayorga, no? I think Alvarez kind of makes sense because of what he had done with America, and Mayorga was kind of out of the blue. And as we saw in the Gold Cup, he really didn't, even participate as Mayorga in the Gold Cup, and you would have assumed that because he had so many weeks to be with the Confederations teams that perhaps Mayorga was going to be an integral part of the Gold Cup team. But when you see the case with Gobea and Antuna, those are cases that are interesting. It's not, as we said in the last show, I think it's not common to see youngsters, Mexican youngsters in Europe playing minutes. Antuna, of course, I think it's recent that he has gotten starts. Well, Gobea has started basically the whole season with Royal Excel Muscron. And actually, when you put into perspective the situation, for example, in the midfield with El Tri, the situation with Gobea turns interesting because he does play as defensive midfielder in Muscron. It's two defensive midfielders, not just one. But that gives you an idea of his capacity, and he might get a look. I'm not going to say he's going to be a starter, but maybe 15 minutes or so, 30 minutes against one of these opponents might work, just to check where he's at. But I do understand the other side of the coin, which is what Cesar was saying. Well, maybe you could bring in Guzman and Elias, who are playing lights out this season. But when you mention those two names, it's not like they're going to be starters. Guzman and Elias are not going to come to the national team and going to be starters. They're probably on the behind, the ones that we have talked a lot about, Chucky, Tecatito. Vela is still up there, and Giovanni's still up there because of the minutes they had with Osorio. Even if, for example, Giovanni's not playing lights out right now.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I mean, I think you want your main guys, and then I like how Osorio is looking at like the next generation, and particularly because Osorio is not going to be involved in the next generation. Right, like after the World Cup, more than likely he will not be Mexico's manager anymore. But he is still thinking about bringing these guys in, seeing what they're about, right, and getting them in with the senior national team. And that experience, not necessarily what happens in the friendlies, but just being in that camp is huge for them. Just mixing it up with those other players and kind of seeing what they're like and how they can handle it, right? So I mean, just that experience alone is huge. And like they have been what Gobea has been doing has been very impressive. And what Antuna did at the youth levels was pretty impressive. So getting these guys into the senior level at this point makes a ton of sense. Now, what you were saying about some of those guys like Elias and Victor Guzman missing out, if they're taking someone's place, it's not the Gobea and it's not the Antuna who should be there. I mean, it is like the Gio, but I mean, it's pretty clear at this point that Osorio is rolling with the Dos Santos and Vela at this point. And I don't know. It's hard to really argue against that.
Can you just take like 5 extra players? I mean, they're friendlies. You know what I mean? Do you really? I mean, it looks like only 23 are going to dress up on an official capacity, and they send the other 3 to the stands. So I really think that he just took these 2 players. Hey, you're there. You're only 45 minutes away. Hey, you know what? We need some ball boys, some extra ball. Not in the sense of ball boys, but in the sense that they're probably going to mark up. These are one of the fastest. I mean, they're fast kids. They're young. So, when they're playing in scrimmages, having that really, really fast, I think was it Gobea or Altuna? One of them is supposedly really, really fast. I was just reading. I don't remember.
Yeah, Altuna
is like the 3rd fastest player in Mexico, right, or something like that. I think here you go. It's kind of like that extra bodies, right? Like at least to have him in practice, but I don't think they're taking anybody's spot because he's taking extra people. Now, if he only brought up 23 and he got these 2 kids. Right, and he did take some very important roles, and I think it'd be there. But at the same time, hey, and it's also more like a thank you, no? Maybe inspiring other young kids. Hey, if I go, try to make get myself in a team in Europe. When they're over there, I might get called up.
But I think that's good too. Sorry, Cesar, but I think it's what like Naib said that with Edson Alvarez, like he was brought into the camp and he really did do something, right? He really did impress. And there's a possibility. I think there is a possibility there because we're talking about some positions that you have some players that are a little rocky, that defensive midfielder position that is not super solidified, not starting 11, but like as a backup option. You look at Jürgen Damm out there. Like we're talking about those fast players. Jürgen Damm's one of the fast players. Here comes another younger fast player. Maybe has some skills that aren't always on display with Jürgen Damm. So you never know. I mean, it's still summer's a long time away. They come in and really impress. I think there's a possibility.
And I think whether Osorio means this or not, I like the fact that it does convey a message that says, look, if you take a chance, if you go abroad, you're going to get a call-up. I don't care if you're playing, if you get 2 starts for a team that's struggling in the Eredivisie, because Groningen, they're not doing well.
They're the Puebla. They're the Puebla.
Yeah, they're not. This is a team that looks like it could potentially be relegated. You know, so like I think I like the fact that it conveys that message to young Mexicans that say, look, it's going to be worth your time to take that risk and go abroad. And I know for those fans who might be bothered once again with Elias not getting called up or Victor Guzman or Gonzalez, like if they continue this form, one of them might be called up for the January friendly. Like it doesn't mean that they're not going to get called up, you know, forever for the national team. I think there's still an opportunity if they maintain this form, say they carry it into the playoffs too, that they'll be there for L3 in January.
Yeah, and keep in mind with Elias, it was quite strange in the last qualifiers, the last stage. He didn't even get minutes. You know, it was Elias and Gutierrez, and we thought that those two, you know, Mexico's already qualified. It's a good opportunity to get a look of them, and they didn't even get a single minute in those games. So what does that say? You know, Gobea, in my opinion, comes in to compete with Orbelin and Gutierrez, you know, in that hypothetical place that they could have in the final roster, because it's hypothetical that one of those 3 ends up in the final roster, but you just never know what can happen. What if Jonathan falls injured? What if Guardado falls injured? You just don't know what's going to happen from now until the World Cup.
I just don't see Gobea or Tuna going against the likes of the players from Belgium. It's like, yeah. So
Gobea, he does have that experience, you know. He's playing over there in Belgium. You never know.
But the players in Belgium aren't playing in Belgium.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right. So, what do you guys? I mean, the list came out, and what we're looking at is a pretty. I mean, there wasn't any big surprises, right?
Yeah, I wasn't shocked.
Aside from the Gobea and Altuna, we're starting to see the usual people that are coming from for Juan Carlos Osorio, which is nobody surprising. You're gonna have 2 or 3, which is, if you remember 4 years ago when we were in the Mexican soccer show, yes, we've been doing it for that long at least. What's surprised? I think we're starting to. I can't wait for who's going to be left off, who's going to come in, but I think we'll have maybe 2, 3 players that have their maybe spots kind of numbered between now and the World Cup. But as far as this list, what jumps out at you is most what you're satisfied or non-satisfied, but I don't see a lot of it. You know, I thought people were like mad or somebody missing the spot.
For me, I still want to see Rodolfo Pizarro in there. I understand why he's not there. I wasn't particularly surprised that he wasn't there, but it's just someone I want to see in there because I want him getting all of these minutes with the national team.
For those viewers, why do you think he's not there, Jason?
I just think he's
extracurricular activities.
I think it was the Gold Cup. Wasn't really great for him.
Okay, so it wasn't.
And just I think he's just kind of up and down performances with Chivas. He's just not. For his abilities and what we know he could be, he's not always that for Chivas. And I think he's just not quite ready to be counted on for L3 at this point. I'd still like to see him there, but I understand why he's not there.
Nice goal he scored this weekend, no? Against
Is there something going on with him, though, outside of, like, you know, Almeida's? There's reports in Mexico saying that he doesn't want him on the team. Him and Pulido are being distractions of extra stuff that's happening, kind of separated.
No, I mean, it's complicated, you know, to understand the situation with Chivas because, you know, they come off that title, you know, winning the cup and the league. You know, it got exponentially, I would say, the attention of the whole country because, you know, it was Chivas, the all-Mexican team that won the title. So I think that grew some attention there. But I think it's been a drop in general, no, for the club, you know, with certain players and You know, and Rodolfo Pizarro is one of them. But Pizarro, at least he's been scoring every now and then. I mean, the golazo against Atlas, and there was a golazo against Cruz Azul. You know, it's not. I think the thing with Pizarro that gets criticized a lot is that he gets dispossessed a lot. He loses a lot of balls, and I think that is something that perhaps Osorio notices, and it is why he doesn't get that much call ups. I mean, it might just be for that minor detail, but that is how Osorio looks at details.
The more I look at the list, the more I kind of, I'm not gonna say that I'm worried about the defense, but I'm kind of questioning what it's gonna look like. I mean, it seems like for sure Layun's gonna be in there, Moreno's gonna be in there, but then after that, I mean, if you're looking at, assuming it's a 4-man back line, who's gonna be that right center back? Who's gonna be that right back? And it's just, I guess what I'm seeing is at that right center back position, there's a opportunity here for someone to really step up and to make themselves known. Like, there's no guarantee that player is Araujo. There's no guarantee that player is going to be Reyes. You know, you can even see someone like Montes can have an opportunity to step up.
There's no guarantee with Juan Carlos Osorio.
There's no guarantee with Osorio either. But
let's be honest.
But I think this could be a big opportunity for whoever plays the right center back and the right back, because in every other position that I see on the field, I see a guaranteed starter when I see Chicharito, Guardado, Herrera, Moreno. You could go down the list. But in defense, I'm still not sure who's going to be that right center back, right back, or if it's a 3-man back line, who's just going to be that right center back.
Interesting. Playing the game of what is even going to be the lineup? Are they? So it's kind of funny how we go back into that. As far as the matchups. What do you think happens in the matchups? I mean, we talked about it a couple days ago. I mean, a couple weeks back on how important the win is here. I kind of was like, as long as we get a good performance, this is time. But most of you guys, said we definitely need a win after what's happening. Maybe some confidence. But tell me about the matchups, which is going to be a very, very, at least obviously the toughest matchup was against Belgium in el equipazo que tienen, right? But at the same time, what do you see? What do you want to get out of it as these matchups, Cesar?
I just want to see one game with with Osorio's best 11. I want to see one match where it's clear that this is his preferred system. And honestly, I'm not too bothered if Mexico gets a win, draw, or loss. I just want to see them play well. I just want to see the best options out there. And I know I feel like regardless of what happens, I think there's going to be a significant amount of criticism for Osorio. I do kind of feel for the guy a little bit for whatever is going to happen after this match because of the competition he's going to be facing. But I just want to see, what he believes is Mexico's best 11, and I want to see some, just a strong performance. I'm not really too bothered by the scoreline. I know we're supposed to be caring about us, getting a win over those big teams, but I'm not. I prefer a win, but I'm not going to be too devastated if we lose both games.
Yeah, Mexico is playing as a true underdog in these matches. I mean, they're playing way in these stadiums against teams that are just better. So, I mean,
Poland?
Well, yes, they are.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So, I mean, whatever you think of the FIFA rankings, there's that you could get a general idea from them. We're talking about number 5 and number 6 here.
I'll give you, Belgium, but Poland being better than Mexico, I don't think we're an underdog. Maybe because of the cold. I'll give you that.
Nah, we're definitely underdogs against Poland. We are.
Poland.
They're tough.
What you want to see is
I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just saying I don't think we're underdogs against Poland.
Well, we are. I mean, it's just fact.
We are. I agree.
On the chat, am I the only one that thinks that? Because these guys are crazy. I'm reading them right now.
We hit the Vegas line. Like, Mexico will be underdogs for these matches.
Yeah.
But if they go in and compete, like Cesar said, I agree completely. Like, if they go in and compete, if they don't embarrass themselves, can Mexico go in and win both these matches? Yeah.
No.
They could. They could do it. Unlikely to happen.
I think we're underdogs against Belgium.
Okay.
No, we're underdogs.
Unlikely to get results in these matches, but they could, and we want to see them be able to do that. They want to see them express themselves on the field. That's it.
Okay. I'm looking for Osorio to finally have a good game against a good teams, and these are good teams. I'm not saying that Poland is bad. Don't get if there are any Polish people watching our show. You have a good team. I think Mexico's better, but you have a good team. But I want, this is where Osorio has gotten a lot of, criticism because when he faces good teams, it doesn't go well. I mean, the team against Uruguay, I would say probably his biggest win against a really good team, right? and against Portugal in the first game, tying against yes, I'm trying to go back. Yeah, a draw. I'm like thinking about. Obviously, we lost at the end for the third place, but was a good showing against a good team. So I want to see some good games, full games against these two teams, and we'll see what kind of happens. By the way, on the chat, people are saying that Poland is not.
I'm looking at the chat. Actually, I see it's back and forth. It's back and forth. I would say it's 50-50. It's 50-50. What was it? Golasso Gringo says Poland is 6th in the world. The
rankings. The rankings are
Eduardo Dueñas says hashtag Jason out. And Vinny Kick says Lewandowski, bro.
We got Lewandowski, man. Which time?
Lewandowski, yeah.
That's right.
I've never seen so many "we so is right" though, so I'm just gonna screen grab. And I'm a screen grab that one.
Hey, the way that I look at these friendlies is, I mean, there's a potential that one of these teams will be an opponent for El Tri in the World Cup because they're first seeds. Yeah. So I mean that I think also you have to point
El Tri, man, they're so smart about their friendlies in the way that
you already played Russia, and that Russia would be great for El Tri.
These guys know they're science. All right, well, we'll see where that goes. Let's go into just really predictions, and we'll kind of go back towards at the end. What do you think happens in these next two games?
I say Mexico gets a narrow loss against Belgium. I'll say it's like a 2-1 loss, and then Mexico either gets a draw or maybe gets a little lucky and gets a win over Poland. I'll stick with the 1-0 win over Poland and a 2-1 loss to Belgium.
Okay.
I see it's two draws. A win over Belgium because
why not? Yeah, fly the flag.
Let's say 3-2, 3-2 Mexico, because we're absolutely conceding goals, but we're going to need to score some. And I'll say a loss to Poland because just to prove my point that Poland is pretty good.
Poland beats the 7-0. beat Belgium 4-0. Naive.
Two draws.
You just went easy on that. Just went easy. I'm gonna go Poland. We went in Poland and we tie against Belgium. I totally messed up the order of our production. Sorry, Jason. I was just so dumbfounded by the fact people thought I was right that we didn't skip one of the topics, which we definitely should talk about, which is Hector Herrera. Keep an eye on Hector Herrera. Why? Because on our production notes. I had to just point this out because I thought it was hilarious. I was laughing for 2 minutes. Hector Herrera gets his groove back. I thought that was hilarious.
It's true. It's true. He has gotten his groove back.
Okay, one simply little goal from a free kick. He's not there yet, guys.
I sent out a tweet before this exciting stuff last week before he scored the goal and the assist. I sent a tweet saying that I don't think it's getting enough attention, but Herrera's doing a decent job for club and country. And after the performance over the weekend, I forget which Portuguese newspaper it was, but they said that this is the best Herrera yet, and this is a captain for a Champions League team. I've been quite impressed with Herrera so far.
I'll give you the club back. He's got to do a little bit more. Yeah, he's still pretty lazy in the national team. That goal got him there.
I think he's doing all right. I do want a little bit more from him, but it's kind of weird to think about that. I would say 3-4 years ago, that in my opinion he was probably the second or third best player for the national team. And it's kind of weird. And this was around 2014 as well. Remember, and he was also included in the top 100 players in the world by The Guardian. And he had a little bit of he had a little bit of a slump, but it's good. I think it's really good, especially when there are of course worries when you see what's happening with Gio and Jonah, and of course with Vela not getting minutes with Real Sociedad. They're just phasing him out so he can go hang out over there in Major League Soccer. So it is good to not only see a player like him, but also Guardado doing quite well in Europe. And I think that's crucial. It's so important, so crucial for Herrera to maintain this form going to the next World Cup. But yeah, no, I think that I think he's doing quite well for Porto. I think he's doing decent for the national team too.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. Naive, Jason, Herrera's going to get his groove back. How Herrera got his groove back?
I think it's really important, to see. HH playing, you know, at a level that gives you optimism, no? Because I think after, you know, there was several months, you know, that it wasn't the Herrera that we're used to. I mean, I think the Herrera in the 2014 World Cup, alongside Gallito, were phenomenal. You know, I think that midfield, Gallito, Herrera, Guardado is probably what I remember the most from that Brazil World Cup. And you know, Herrera with Lopetegui in Porto did quite well, I think, in, what was it, 2015? So 2 years later, 2017, he's sort of retaining that brilliant aspect of his game. You know, he's a todocampista. You know, he runs all over the field, and I think we're seeing that from Herrera. It just depends where Osorio is going to put him. You know, because look, over there in Porto, he has a defensive midfielder playing right behind him. It's either Danilo or, like it was this case this weekend, it was Diego Reyes playing as a defensive midfielder, and he did all right. He did great, Reyes. So I think that's important, because if you put Herrera as the sole defensive midfielder, he's going to struggle. I don't think you're going to see the Herrera that you're seeing in Porto, because it's not a position he dominates. He's going to do all his best to make it look like it's working, because that's Herrera, but he needs someone behind him to support him, because if he's going to be the sole defensive midfielder, I don't think we're going to see this Herrera that is playing at a great level right now with Porto.
That's the trick, because I mean, I think he's such an important player for Mexico, and that position is a bit of a liability that we just, it's never really firmed up, and you can use him there and fill the spots in front of him very easily, right? But it's probably not the best spot for him, as Naive said. You want him further ahead, but then you have that liable position behind him. Like, who do we put there? Who makes it work? And it's still a bit of a question mark.
Yeah, I think that also, going back to the Gouveia thing, I think that's where Gouveia probably has a little bit of opportunity. I don't think he'll be getting minutes, but maybe he does get at least like 20 minutes in a game, just to show off that he could do quite well in that defensive midfield position. Because after Herrera, I'm not entirely sure who that back and defensive midfielder would be, or maybe going into the next World Cup, who could potentially sneak past Herrera and get that starting position. Because you could easily put Herrera in Jonah's position as the other attack-minded midfielder, and Osorio starting 11. So I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that.
It will be. I hope he gets his groove back. I mean, let's just be honest. Going back to it. We are. Really quick.
He's already got it back. He's got it back.
I don't think yet. I don't think so. But really quick, I was kind of looking at by the way, the new national team jersey came out, and everyone was kind of crazy because it was the worst kept secret in the history of national team. I mean, Amy tweeted a picture of the kids from Stranger Things already had it back in June.
Call them up.
It's call them up. That'd be great. 11 11 just stops everybody. But I just wanted to kind of quick out that I think when I was watching that video that the El Tri kind of put out, it's Pizarro getting the call up with the jersey, and he's not even on the call up. It's like I was the first person that picked up the jersey on that commercial that they had, and I was like, oh, you didn't get called, but hey, you got a jersey. So that was pretty funny.
The swag. It's all about the swag, like I told you.
It's all about the swag.
Sponsorship.
All right. Well, speaking about sponsorships, we're going to take a few minutes to acknowledge our sponsors, and who just happens to be us. So don't worry. We wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit. Thanks, guys. Thanks for investing in our show. But we wanted to share a new venture here with the Mexican Soccer Show that we are starting today, actually, right after the show, with the upcoming World Cup. And the enormous amount of content we try to cram into the show, this hour-long show, we're looking to expand. What that means is, in order to expand, we're looking for support. We're looking for you guys to help us out, and that way we'll have more content. And it means more time and less time, obviously, for everything else. Hence, if you haven't heard already, Patreon. And it's something that I know I didn't hear about for maybe in the last couple of months. I heard about it, but we really got a chance to check out, all of us as a team here at the Mexican Soccer Show. Patreon allows listeners and supporters to contribute to the show in order to fund future ventures. So how we'll be expanding? There's going to be a new podcast here with the Mexican national team and with Mexican Soccer Show that's going to be called Mexico's Countdown to Russia. And it's an in-depth analysis on all aspects of El Tri. there's not enough time for us to do the Mexican national team, Liga MX, and also Mexicans abroad and everything else that comes in and out. And it feels that some of you who have been watching this show, we see all the questions that you guys want asked. We're going to have it on a weekly basis, and it's only going to be audio. So for those of you that don't have to, it's not going to be live. We're going to tweet it out, or we're going to give you guys, with the Patreon page, you're going to have all that information. And it's just going to be strictly El Tri. So it's going to be called Mexico's Countdown to Russia, the ultimate prep for the World Cup. There's going to be other bonuses part of the Patreons. For example, questions and answers on the show. There's going to be a video by Jason, the Bet of the Week video. There's even going to be some T-shirts that are going to be made, and lots of kind of ways for us to say thank you. So I wanted to kind of just open up to the guys. We've been kind of working on this for the last few months to make sure that we're not just throwing something out there for money, guys. And to be honest, we've never really asked for anything in the last 6 or 7 years that the show has been running. I've participated in at least 4 of them, and all of us here really try to give you guys something, whether it's when we're at games, and all of us that are trying. Mr. Tom Marshall's not here today because obviously he's working and already flying. He's in Holland, but he'll also be a part of it. Amy will also be a part of it, and us 3 and myself that are here. So I wanted to open up just really quick to Cesar, Jason, and Naib about the Patreon a little bit. How we came about it, and just kind of have a discussion, and how these guys are gonna we're taking to the next level.
I mean, we've been wanting to do this for a while. I mean, sometimes with the show we'll go over an hour, and we feel like sometimes it's just hard to fit so much so many topics that we're covering within this hour-long space. And for those who feel maybe a little hesitant about donating, like, we're still going to have the Monday podcast. That's just not going to change. Yeah. We're going to continue to have the Monday podcast. We're not going to charge you for the podcast. This isn't going to change. This is still going to exist, and there's going to be alterations to this. But I think it's important for those who are seeking for it. And we are going to put an immense amount of effort into this. We really want to go into details for some of the questions that that you just come about, some of the worries you have regarding the national team that you just constantly think about before the next World Cup. We really want to go into detail on those every Thursday, and we're essentially just charging about $1 an episode, so $4 a month. So I'm really excited for it. I'm excited that there's going to be no potential audio or video problems that we sometimes have here on the YouTube version for the Mexican Soccer Show. But yeah, I'm thrilled by this. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Like we said, I mean, this has always been a passion project for us, since the start, when we decided to, get on this venture and talk about Liga MX and El Tri in English, which it's not done as much when we started. Nowadays, you see more that is being produced in English, and I think that's something that there's a sense of pride into it. So with this, we just try to make it more excellent, make the product more excellent, and try to focus a little bit on what's happening with El Tri, and what this all means about going to this World Cup in Russia, and exactly where El Tri stands. Is it really legitimate to think that they will reach the 5th game, which is something that so coveted in the game since we were born, basically. It's like we want to reach that 5th game in the World Cup. But now with Osorio, it's been an interesting case. I mean, Osorio has been an innovative manager that came from Colombia after he was in Sao Paulo as the first Colombian to coach in Brazil, a club in Brazil, and all these changes that have happened, and it was a nice hexagonal for El Tri. But there's certain chapters in this tenure that haven't been that fun to watch, and they've been really disappointing to a certain extent. So it's going to be interesting to delve into this. And, the team that we have here in the Mexican Soccer Show is 5 stars, so we're going to work our butts off to keep it at 5 stars.
Oh, 5 stars. Can we put that on a review? Okay.
Yeah, guys. So don't worry. We'll like Cesar said, we'll still have our Monday night football. That's not going away. I mean, we'll continue it because, hey, if you can support us, great. If not, you'll still get our content, obviously, on Twitter and Facebook. But we're really going to go in depth on Thursdays, especially Tom, Naib, and Cesar, to talk specific about El Tri, to get information, interviews, really take that journalistic approach of giving you a quality podcast. and really want to go into that. And then all the other stuff, right? Our goal is to give you a great production for Russia, and for us to get there, we definitely need help. Since most of us have, you know that we do other things. This isn't, if we get paid to just do the Mexican soccer show, we'll be set. But all of us, if it's working at ESPN or other stuff for these guys and Food Next Nation and all of that, really want to make sure that we're giving you that coverage that we're not seeing, in the major networks. I mean, one thing I remember when this was starting was, gosh, Fútbol Picante should be in English and it should have people, not necessarily the trash talk and all that. But
I don't know if I want to be Fútbol Picante.
Spicy soccer. But yeah, guys, not to spend too much time on it. You're gonna see a little video that we put together right after this, after the podcast, after the show today. Share it if at least you can do it. If you're able to help with the Patreon with the $2 or the $4. If not, just share it. Share it for help us retweet it and like it, and at least give that because we're looking for new fans too to make sure to help us out. So that's it. That's our spot. Unless Jason, actually, I didn't hear you say anything to it. I
think you guys said it perfectly, but I would encourage everyone, just please, once the link goes out, just please check it out. There's a lot of cool stuff in there that we didn't really get to mention. So peruse it, because there's some pretty cool stuff in there. I think there'll be something in there for everyone, and check it out. And like Weasel said, the shares will help as well. So thank you for that.
And we really are looking to have callers on this show too, and even the podcast. So we'll figure something out. We got a lot of ideas, and it's going to be changing too. So mostly it's that time, right, that we all kind of devote to it. So we want to give you that. So
we haven't even described. I think that some of the most exciting things for the fans is like some of the goals and the rewards. I mean, I guess the goals. I mean, we'll post the Patreon page. You guys can check it out.
Tell us
pretty cool stuff in there.
Really quick.
I think the first one is so you're gonna write a song if we hit a certain amount of people who are donating, and you're gonna mention every single person who donates in that song.
I don't know about every single person who donates, but I'm gonna write a song.
Well, the first 25, right? It's 25, right?
10.
25.
I'm not
the first 10.
All right.
Did we say the first 200? My God, the first.
I was thinking of Adam Sandler's Hanukkah song. If you guys remember that, of you're not the only kid in town that follows El Tri. Here's a couple of people who do, just like you and me. And then I'll just start off, right? I thought that was part of fun. Anyways, there's a lot of cool little rewards and goals to even, I think, 1,000 follow or Patreon. We'll get it. Let's do this. Well, you'll see. But definitely look into.
We'll be giving out some jerseys too.
Jerseys and other cool stuff. So all right, guys, let's move on. Let's talk really quick about. Let me look at my rundown because we had that commercial break. Liga MX, and just kind of jump in there in what's happening, and it's Liguillas coming in a way. Some teams are starting to sneak in, and we're looking at that. But let's just kind of focus in on Pachuca, who everybody thought, I don't know if it's the Chucky, if it's what's been happening. We do have a Club World Cup coming up, and there's one of the questions on the chat where how are they getting ready? They're missed the Liguilla again following a loss to Querétaro. What happened throughout this whole season with Pachuca? Did they really miss Chucky that much?
No. I think it's an interesting project there with Pachuca because of all the signings they made. I mean, Edson Puig, Angelo Zagal, and Keisque Honda are the main ones. And I asked Alonso after the game, after the loss against Querétaro, what was like the complication, the most difficult complication that arose, because coaching staff was meeting new players were meeting the coaching staff, and the adaptation period and all that. And he told me that usually with Pachuca, you give 6 months to the player to adapt to the style. But here you couldn't because you needed the results right away. You have a Club World Cup coming up. And on top of that, there was a lot of injuries. Zagal and Puig and Honda all had some type of injury during the season, and I think that affected severely their chances. But, it's also the defense. For example, Mar Gonzalez, what he lived in the last month, it's not easy, to like miss the World Cup and scoring an own goal in that match against Trinidad. That shakes things up, and it does hurt the player, I think, mentally, and he's trying to recuperate that good form, I would say. But I think it's a team that it can potentially do something special in the Club World Cup, but right now they got to focus on the Cup. I think that it's important for them to reach the final in the Cup because that gives them more games in order to prepare for the Club World Cup. Because if they get eliminated by Cholos this week, they basically won't play for like 2-3 weeks before the Club World Cup starts.
Maybe that's a way you can train.
Yeah. So I think, but you need those games. You need those competitive minutes, I think. And I think that's...
Where's the Club World Cup? Is it still in Japan like it is every year?
No, I think it's going to be in United Arab Emirates.
All right.
So it's December 9th. Their debut, I think, Pachuca. So, they still, hopefully they can, the dream over there in Pachuca is for them to reach the cup final. And, you see America and Monterrey and Atlante, so it's going to be, it's actually, when you look at it, it's going to be a pretty special run there in the cup, because Monterrey wants to win the double. America wants to win the double as well. And Pachuca needs these games for preparation. So, sorry for Atlante, but Atlante, you can't regard it because they eliminated Chivas and Toluca. So it's a special cup. The cup scenery all of a sudden becomes interesting.
Yeah, I agree with what Naib said about it. I mean, Naib just basically gave out all the reasons I had why Pachuca struggled. I mean, first off, Honda needed time to adjust. He started off with an injury, and they played him in 3 different positions. They tried him at a center attacking mid. That didn't really work out. Put him a little bit higher as a false 9. That didn't really work out. And it wasn't until the last few matches they played him on the right wing that he really started to shine for Pachuca. I mean, and now you brought up the injuries. I remember when they played against Xolos, I think they had Sagal, Guti, Aguirre, Puch, and Ureta were all unavailable for Pachuca, which says a lot about how they've struggled with injuries. And and like you said, Naib too, like about the defense. That defense, which it seemed like it was one that, with Murillo and Omar, that was arguably one of the best defensive duos, in the league. And just there's been something really off about them this season. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's because of Omar and he's been quite busy. Maybe he's been...
Yeah, keep in mind.
I know it's been a tough time.
Keep in mind that
he's not going to the World Cup, so he's sad.
No, but keep in mind also at the start of the season, the U.S. went all the way to the Gold Cup final, and Omar played most of those games. And I think when he came to Pachuca, he came in late to the season, and he actually went right away to play, and right away fell injured because there was a muscular injury or something. But that's because of the baggage of games that he had before, the preseason. He really didn't have a preseason with Pachuca this season.
And then he was still involved in World Cup qualifiers after that, so that makes sense. Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I would hate to see that this would be a team that would make a change, a drastic change, a manager change, because I think this is a team that we've been really happy to see the process they've had going on with the team, sending all these young players through all of the youth production and the quality they've had on the field, bringing in the outside players to mesh with the youth players. It's worked so well. I think when you have that, you're going to have some of these lulls. You're going to have some down times, and I would like to see this team ride out. I mean, I don't know, Naib, do you get the impression that Alonso's kind of under pressure here?
That's a good point you bring up, Jason, because he's brought it up. He gets asked that question a lot. Does he feel that this project is coming to an end with him involved? And he always says that if he sees his players still responding to his demands, he's going to continue. Mm-hmm. And in the last weeks, I think he's seen that. I think the game against Querétaro was a strange one. Is those games where the team that plays on the counter ends up winning, and Pachuca actually, when you analyze the stats, it was a pretty dominant performance from Pachuca. I mean, I think
Volpe was the man of the match.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so that's right. Sort of explains a little bit of how strange the whole game was. But I think you see these long processes in other countries. For example, right now, Atletico Madrid with Cholo Simeone, and you think, well, what's going on with Atletico? Like, why are not they're not winning those big games in the Champions League? It doesn't mean that it's over with Cholo. It just means that it's a slump. Right. They got certain situations there that are, in Atletico is a forward position. Diego Costa won't play until next year. What would happen if he could play already right now, but they got this UEFA ban going on. With Pachuca, it's kind of the same story. They just beat Tigres in the Conca Champions. You think about how Tigres is dominating in the last years, and it was Pachuca who beat Tigres in that final when everyone thought that Tigres was the main favorite and the team to beat for that tournament, no?
Yeah, I think Pachuca will be fine. I don't think they need to make any changes. I just think, a lot of it depends on how they'll do in the Club World Cup too. Maybe they'll get a really short preseason that might hurt them, but I think they'll be fine for the next season. I think they'll bounce back. And I'm guessing with that roster, and as long as they they avoid injuries, that there should be a playoff-worthy team again.
Agreed.
Oh, guys, only about 9 minutes left, but really quick, Liguilla watch. Who do you expect to see to jump in there? I mean, between the 4th place and looking at the 9th and 10th place, it's only 2 points. So you have Xolos at 21, Cruz Azul 24, Atlas 24, Necaxa 24, Toluca 26, León 26, and Monarcas 26. Everyone else is, Club America at 27. But if we're looking at Liguilla watching and some of those in the teams, it's where are we seeing that kind of paved too?
I mean, it seems like. Oh, go ahead.
No, Cesar, you go.
I mean, right now there are only 3 teams that have a spot, guaranteed for the playoffs, just because of how close it is right now. It's only Monterrey, Tigres, and America. At this moment, even a team like Morelia in 4th place can still miss out. I personally, I've been doing a lot of number crunching for Xolos. It's not going to happen. They're not going to make it into the playoffs. I know a lot of unexpected things can happen in Liga MX, but it's impossible. They might as well be counted out of the playoffs. So after that, you got to look at Necaxa, Atlas, and Cruz Azul. And Atlas might have a little bit of a tough match against Pachuca. Necaxa will be facing against Morelia, and that's obviously a very crucial match for them. I think the Necaxa-Morelia match is going to be a must-watch next weekend. Mm-hmm. And I'm still, I hate to say, I'm still unsure about Cruz Azul. Cruz Azul might need some things to work in their favor. They're going to have to get a good result. And of course, unfortunately for Cruz Azul, what doesn't help out at all is that they have a negative goal differential. So I think what the top 8 looks like now is how the top 8 will finish.
Oh, thank you, because León, I was thinking.
No, it's crazy to think that a team with 26 points might miss out. No.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird, man.
Jason, Cruz Azul. First of all, answer Joel's question. Are they Liguilla worthy, and are they going to make it?
Worthy? No. I mean, they haven't proven their worth to be in the game. No,
he's a true fan. He's not a delusional fan, Gordon.
Yeah.
Will they make it? Well, they host Veracruz, right? So I mean, if you're gonna pick a match, if you're gonna pick a team you want to play and where you want to play them, this is it. They have it, right? So it's perfectly set up for them. Then again, they could win this and still not make it, right? It's also possible that if all these other teams get results, this could also go against them. I don't know why. I'm a pessimist at heart and a Cruz Azul fan. They go together so well. I don't think Cruz Azul are going to make it. I think they're going to find a way to screw this up because that is what history has taught me so many times over. So, no, I don't expect them to make it, even though they probably should. Do they deserve to make it? No.
They're really turning on the chat because it's Cruz Azul Liga MX worthy? And then Cruz Azul, first thing ever to miss out with 26 points. Totally
also, I think I might be wrong in this, but I think this is the first time all season that Cruz Azul isn't in the top 8, and it's just at the very before the last week of the season. I'm pretty sure this is the first time they were knocked out of the top 8, and it's right before the playoffs.
The fact that they got the win against Morelia. It was crazy at the end, like how they managed to get that, because those games usually end with a Cruz Azul loss or a Cruz Azul draw at best, draw, not a win. So I think when you see what happened there, and then you think about Veracruz, is that Cruz Azul, some disaster. Well, disaster always happens with Cruz Azul, but this time Veracruz is doing awful with Cardoso, so you would assume that at least get the win. And then wait and see what happens with the rest, For example, Toluca has looked shaky. I would say in the last weeks, they lost against Atlante in the Copa MX, and I think that does sort of affect a little bit the momentum that the team had.
Last time Toluca missed the Liguilla.
Yeah, and Toluca, but with Hernan Cristante has been on and off, kind of, no? It's like sometimes they look good and sometimes they look terrible.
But I think Xolos might reckon they're going to be facing Xolos next Sunday, and by the time that game is happening, Xolos might already know. They're probably going to know that they're officially disqualified for the playoffs. I don't think, and they're probably if I was Xolos management, I would say, look, I don't care about that game against Toluca. I care about that game against Pachuca in the Copa MX, and that's where I'm going to play all of my starters. So there's a chance that Toluca could pick up something there.
Yeah.
Cruz Azul is the Arsenal of MX.
And Atlas, I think, also is in there, no? With that, we'll see against Pachuca and how that works out. But Atlas back-to-back seasons in Liguilla, that would be crazy. I mean, that's another crazy thing, like Cruz Azul reaching the Liguilla, no? It's like
and they were struggling earlier this season too. They were we talked about on the show how they were really struggling. Now they went back into the top 8.
It's easy. It's Liga MX. You only got to win the last five games, 5-6 games, time maybe a couple there, and you're in. All right, guys. It's almost time to end the show, but really quick, on our podcast that we'll have for our Patreon, that we'll starting today, will be starting this week. Be later this week on Thursday, if everything works well. We'll be talking more about Liga MX. As you know, about the Mexican national team. I'm sorry. We're gonna have this. We're gonna talk about overall expectations. Mexican player that'd be best served by a big performance in Europe. A whole preview about Belgium on Friday. The game that we'll play on Friday. Is this a better test for the defense facing Lukaku and all of the great? All the great players in the defense, and how will JCO plan for it? So really going to be in depth on that, and then obviously talk also about Poland next Monday with Lewandowski versus Lajundowski, as Naib likes to break it down. He'll break it down, guys. And other thoughts and stuff that will be going on. So make sure be a part of that Patreon that we have our initial and definitely do that. In about 2 minutes, our video is going to go live of what we want on the Patreon. So we're going to definitely share it on Twitter and on Facebook. So you'll see that. But really quick, guys, Chicharito is going to get a new manager. Did I hear David Moyes might come?
I don't know. I mean, the David Moyes kind of, it all started because he got asked in a show if he would be interested in the job, and he said yes.
Tell me why we don't want David Moyes.
That doesn't mean because it wasn't a good relationship over there in Manchester. It was bad, Moyes and
Chicharito.
He's coming off of 2-3 straight abject failures right now.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not like
what was he like? What did he do? I don't
point.
follow the EPL a lot, Jason. I know you do. You're a Liverpool fan. David Moyes,
so
why was he that big of a deal?
For years and years with Everton, he was punching above his weight.
Okay.
Right, they didn't spend money, and he kept that team competing, and they were strong. And so he took over for Alex Ferguson at Manchester United. And you think this was a logical step, another manager, and that obviously flopped. It didn't go very well. Hard spot to walk into. So he was giving more benefit of the doubt. A few more jobs and just more failures. He goes to Spain with Sociedad. He heads back to Sunderland and sends them into relegation. It just so this is not a manager right now where you think, oh, let's hop on this train right now. This is exciting, especially if you're in relegation trouble. And this manager was just relegated last season. And obviously, the history with Chicharito at United wasn't great either. Chicharito to get a playing time. I don't know. Do you put that on Moyes or not? It's not great. It's just not great.
All I know is I've been watching a lot of West Ham fan TV on YouTube the past couple days. It's really entertaining. You guys should check it out. And there's a lot of cursing from fans. And they bring up the name David Moyes. There's a lot of cursing from these fans.
I think that's technically dark internet, isn't it? Like West Ham TV.
I think it is probably yeah.
No, they need a positive. They need an injection of optimism over there in West Ham, and hiring David Moyes is not the way to go. I mean, I think hopefully they got clear minds and they decide for a coach that understands somewhat of the game in England and give him a shot. We'll see. I mean, Village, he had experience playing in the Premier League now, and I think that played in his favor. But if you can get another coach, I mean, there's coaches over there in Bundesliga that don't have a job right now. I mean, why? Like who was the coach over there in Dortmund? Tuchel. I think Tuchel is on the market.
Yeah,
but he might want a lot of money.
Caixinha is available.
Caixinha is available.
I guess I laughed, but that's not. Yeah, I laughed, but that wouldn't be that terrible.
That'd be cool. I like it. All right, guys. All right. Well, thank you so much to everybody. Lots of cool things that are coming on the chat. Thanks for some of you guys that say we got you. Thank you for awesome work, Eduardo Dueñas. A lot of people that have been on the show. So please, really, really consider it. Look at our Patreon page, and it's almost 60% there. So as soon as the video comes up for the Twitter and Facebook, we'll end our podcast. So that'll be like the next thing, so you can kind of switch on there. But I think it's going to be really, really awesome. The kits, I know we didn't really talk about a lot, but you like them? Yes? No?
It's difficult.
I'll buy one, but I'll be angry.
Looks like Bulgaria's 1994 jersey. And those
the white jersey was
design,
kind of,
the design.
Yeah, the white, I was like, man.
The Colombia,
but I'll be angry about it.
The Colombia jersey is nice. I mean, I like the design, yellow and then the flag colors. I mean, I think they could have done better. I think they could have done better at either.
It's pretty nice, though. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. It kind of looks like a pine tree, right? Like
I mean, at least the color reminds me from the 2012 Olympics.
Yeah.
And I think that the green was that kind of, or maybe.
Do they pick like the worst design? And I'm not saying, like for the World Cup, you're always experimenting on this crazy, and we have it right here, the Power Ranger one.
Dude, Power Ranger is dope. I love that one.
No, everyone.
I like that one.
It's funny. Like if I went, everybody, I think you kind of love to like it after they see him in the World Cup, because if you're looking at it, even this one, people were going crazy about it. What is that?
But that one is so bad it's good. This one is just, it's boring, man. It's just boring.
And then the Charlie Brown kind of weird red that they came out, but then I have them back here, so we'll see. We go to the Quinto Partido. This is the greatest shirt ever.
Actually, I was gonna say that's what that jersey looks like. It looks like the Quinto Partido to me, man.
The Quinto Partido.
That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like.
All right, guys. It looks like it's posted. So all of you that are on YouTube right now, go into Twitter, like and retweet, and we'll get if you're able to join us on Patreon, if you're able to help us out, please, please, please. You're gonna see a lot of posts about it. It starts this week, our countdown to Russia. So thank you to those that are already doing it. We'll see who's the first one. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. All right, Mr. Naib Moran, go ahead and close us out, sir.
No, well, we'll see exactly how everything works out with Osorio and the team over there in Europe. There are two opponents that I think, like we said at the beginning of the show, we're going to be able to make good conclusions after these two matches, which is, I think, something important as El Tri prepares for their World Cup. This is the last time Vela's going to be wearing El Tri jersey while playing in Europe, after these friendlies.
You mean he's not going back to Europe after LAFC?
Well, he's off to LAFC, and he's going to chill over there with Lonzo Ball, over with the Lakers.
All right, guys. Have a wonderful night. Check out our Patreon. Help us out.
Check out the link. Patreon.com, The Mexican Soccer Show.
Awesome.
Grazie.